Welcome to the all-new Sports Visions on Bounce TV and to our worldwide web viewers on www.sportsvisionsusa.com. Hello, everybody. I'm DJ Jones alongside my good friend and traveling partner, Dale Williams. How are you, sir?
What's up, player?
We are safely into football season, man. We got the first week of the NFL off the ground, and, of course, high school and college has been going. And I do say I'm in a comfortable spot.
Well, you know, DJ, you might be uncomfortable on all the cupcakes last week. We're getting ready to get down to some interconference games, you know, divisional rivalries, divisional flows, and really we always talk about those third and fourth games because you're going to lose. You better lose now.
Coming up in just a little bit, we'll have an opportunity to recap and preview Auburn, Georgia, Alabama, and Tech. We'll talk about the Falcons, and we'll also talk about something special that's going on right now. And then again, everybody's wanting to know what's going on with Georgia, what's going on with Clemson, what's going on with all of these big schools and you know, all of these close games. Well, we're going to give you our opinion in just a little bit.
Selection now, saving now, value now. Columbus is Nissan Town, and the Nissan Now sales event is on now. Now, save $5,000 on a new Altima. That's right. Now, drive a new Altima, an IIHS top safety pick with $5,000 in savings. The best time to buy is right now.
Nissan Now sales event. Don't miss it. We'll see you soon. Headquarter Nissan.
Welcome back to Sports Visions, Dale. I tell you, just about a week or so ago, was a problem or a situation with quarterbacks at Auburn, at Alabama, and at Georgia. Well, there's not a quarterback problem at Alabama anymore or Auburn. Georgia, seems to have their issues.
Well, I think Georgia's biggest issue is that they don't have an identity. They don't know what they want to do, but, we know what they need to do. Nick Chubb, just hand the ball off to Nick Chubb. We're going to center everything around Nick Chubb and the running game. But I guess they just can't wait to turn loose Jason Eason, DJ.
Well, you know what? While we're talking about Jason Eason and the Bulldogs and Nick Chubb, hey, let's go ahead and talk about that debacle against Nicholls State in Athens.
Oh, man, that was ugly. But, like I said, I'm going to just take a win is a win. We're going to take that win. Hopefully they'll get better. But we also had a little conversation, DJ, and we just thought back like, what if we played like that when we were playing? I knew one offensive line coach. He would have had our offensive line practicing after the game. So, just to see that intensity, and I think Kirby has that same intensity, they got some things straight this week, and we're going to find out is there a big change on the offensive line or their personnel overall.
Total letdown against Nicholls State. Coming in, nobody had any idea Nicholls State would have played them a two-point game. 24-26 is what Georgia beat them. But again, from that opening drive, Jacob Eason took them right down the field, and it looked like it might be a blowout. However, it didn't. There were some letdowns. The offensive line obviously did not block the way we wanted them to. Obviously, we didn't get the push on the defensive side to get to their quarterback. Unfortunately, though, but you know what? They got to get it together because going out to play Missouri is going to be a whole new ball game. And the bottom line is from what I gathered from this week of messages and the word on in camp is that Brandon Cablano, the center, he's a 5-year guy, and he's saying he's going to be more vocal. He's going to call more guys out because nobody's getting on each other, Because, again, in that locker room, when the coaches are not there, you got to have a guy, some leadership, a senior, to be able to call the guys out and hold them accountable.
Well, really, DJ, and you're right about that. And one of the other big things that, Kirby Smart brings a lot of strategy and, his scheme and alignments and all those things from Alabama. But there's one thing that he done, people have to realize this. Georgia don't scare anybody, DJ. Alabama scares some people, and that same system that you've done over at Alabama with those players, it has not caught up with the Georgia Bulldogs yet. And now when he was talking about depth, big depth, we see that now. See it. We don't have big guys on second and third string that can come in and play and spell guys. So we finding out about that, but at the same time, I'm thinking Kirby Smart and these guys got down in practice this week, DJ, and I look for them to bounce back against Missouri.
What a great opportunity to go out to Columbia, Missouri, and take on those Tigers out there. Missouri has a good team, and I saw them play, and they, of course, have a very potent offense, and they have a defense. They always has a defense that's going to get after you. But this is a great test. Now, most coaches always say the biggest difference or the most improvement comes between the first and second game. It didn't happen for the Bulldogs, so it's going to happen. I have to happen this week.
It's got to be this week, and Missouri always has Georgia number, and really this is a conference game. This is a divisional game. So this is a big-time game for Georgia. You know, a la the North Carolina game, this is even a bigger game because you can't get behind the 8 ball in your division. And Missouri always play them tough. They got to come back hitting on all cylinders and get ready for this conference play.
We were talking about Auburn and Alabama has found their quarterback. Let's take it over to the Plains and start there first. Shaun White, what a performance that Auburn had, over 50 points, beating up on Arkansas State, Gus Malzahn's old team, but over 700 yards, nearly a record-breaking day of total offense, and Shaun White had a lot to do with that.
Well, you know, really just from that game plan, DJ, I think Gus was a whole lot more comfortable with his game plan. He knew what his quarterback was going to do. He knew who his quarterback was going to do. I think he had a little bit more time to kind of feel things out, but it's going to be a bigger test this weekend against Texas A&M because Texas A&M ain't nothing like Arkansas State.
Well, you know what? One thing is for sure is that Gus can pull out that film against Clemson, and he could talk about the offensive production. And, you know, they did get better from week 1 on the offensive side to week 2, of course, scoring over 50 points. And that defense, with the way they came out against Clemson, and again, the way they played the other day, you know what? That's going to be one of the top defenses in the conference.
Yeah, really, I think everybody's kind of coming to that conclusion that Coach Steele has brought a new attitude and philosophy to Auburn's defense. And we've already said, DJ, if Auburn has a defense that can hold you under 21 points, Auburn's going to be okay because Gus going to put up 30-plus points, especially when he's got his whole foundation, offensive foundation set now. He knows who his quarterback's going to be now. Because Gus still can call some plays, D.
Kevin Summerlin's coming in with the transfer quarterback, a guy with some experience, a guy who understands big-time college football. And you know what? They look like a different ball club.
They are a different club. I mean, really, they're big. You know, they're big. I mean, when we say big, DJ, we're talking about NFL size big. When you're talking about Texas A&M and everybody in that West, if you don't have a big offensive and defensive line, you're going to have some problems. And I think really Kevin Sumlin, he's got his guys playing up tempo. Their defense is going to have to play a better game today because, again, Gus going to play fast plays. But when he really knows what he wants to do, DJ, Gus can be a bad man.
We'll take it up to Tuscaloosa where, of course, Jalen Hurts is the new name, and he's a young phenom freshman up there. And, you know, I think Nick has found his quarterback for the next few years.
No, I think he has, too, DJ. I think really, you know, again, you know, we always talk about giving the keys, who got the keys. I think this guy, if he can get past this game and the way he performs in this Ole Miss game coming up, DJ, he can have the keys. He's going to be able to do a whole lot of things. And, you know, I think, you know, really their offensive coordinator is going to be able to do a whole lot of things he never thought he could do. This guy can run and pass. He is definitely the dual threat quarterback, DJ.
And when you talk about dual threat quarterbacks, I'm going outside the conference when we talk about what's going on at Louisville, of course, what's going on at Houston. You know what? At Alabama, you know, that young man is going to throw himself right in the midst of all of those talented quarterbacks.
That's right. That's going to be big, man. At the same time, you know, what they're doing at Houston, what they're doing at Florida State against Louisville this week, DJ, that's going to be a big-time game. 2 potential Heisman Trophy candidates will be playing, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Ward. These guys, really, we don't get to see them a whole lot. But in this highlight game this week, DJ, it's going to be a big-time game, player.
But keeping it in the conference, Ole Miss is going in to play Alabama, and I know that, you know, they have a lot to prove. And Chad Kelly is one of the top quarterbacks coming in, and I know that he obviously knows he can knock off Alabama as he has before. This will keep him at the top. He was the preseason #1 quarterback.
Yeah, Chad got, you know, again, the first-team preseason quarterback. But at the same time, DJ, Ole Miss has beat Alabama 2 years in a row. And I think Ole Miss is walking around with with the chest out a little bit. I think really this was weight room material for the Crimson Tide, and I'm looking for a different outcome. A whole nother level of intensity and passion is going to be played this weekend. And we're going to see how good Alabama is because I can't see 3 in a row, DJ.
Looking forward to that matchup. And when you talk about what Georgia Tech was able to do with the Mercer Bears, let me tell you something. You know what? They had an opportunity to work on their ground game, to get some people into the rotation. And, you know, Mercer came in with all they had. But, again, the good thing about what Georgia Tech and Paul Johnson is doing, they've improved, muchly improved from last year. And this was just another part of the process to the season that I think will be successful for Tech.
Well, you know, the good thing about Paul Johnson and Georgia Tech, he was able to play a lot of players. So they're working on their depth. They have a great running game. They played 3 quarterbacks. They run the ball. I mean, they've always been able to run the ball, DJ, but they're not making turnovers. And those are the things that really they will always shoot themselves in the foot. You know, Justice Thomas is doing a great job. You know, even Taquan got an opportunity to play, but when you can start working on your depth and everybody's getting involved and you can play that many players, that's a good thing. But they open up this week against Vanderbilt, and you know our good friend Derek Mason, he's kind of thirsty, DJ.
I'm looking forward to seeing what Derek Mason can do with that triple option, and I know that that's an explosive offense, and Derek is a defensive guru, one of the top names when you talk about defensive coaches around, even though he has a head job.
Yeah, I mean, really, he's thirsty, and the fans are been very patient with Derek. But I think Georgia Tech is going to be able to take this game, but at the same time, it's going to be closer than we really think.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our Chick-fil-A picks of the week.
All right, our Chick-fil-A picks of the week are Alabama against Ole Miss, Auburn against Texas A&M, Georgia against Missouri, Georgia Tech against Vandy, LSU against Mississippi State, Florida State against Louisville, and Stanford against USC. And don't forget to stop by Chick-fil-A on Bradley Park to pick up your Chick-fil-A picks of the week form. Last week winner was Abby Brown. Congratulations to Abby Brown. But stop by the Chick-fil-A on Bradley Park and pick up your picks of the week form.
Now let's take a look at our Black College scores and our lineup for this week, brought to you by our good friends from the LNAs.
Okay. Ah! Oh. Hey, I'm trying to get crunk.
C-R-U-E. Tell them how we gonna come. Tell them why they don't run. Tell them why they better run. Stand up and get crunk.
Truth be truth, the will to win will win. So intimidate your darkest fear. Revive every forgotten fantasy. Set goals you can never reach, then reach them. Count cards to fight fate stack deck. And if you want to win as much as you want to live, you're ready to reign on.
Sports Vision presents the Chick-fil-A Picks of the Week. Every week during the 2016 college football season, Chick-fil-A will sponsor the Picks of the Week segment on Sports Vision. Sports Vision will pick several college football games from around the country for the customers to pick the winning teams. The customer that picks the most winning teams will win a Chick-fil-A platter and a gallon of tea, compliments of Chick-fil-A Bradley Park. So customers, fill out your form and make sure you fill out your contact information and wait to hear if you are the Chick-fil-A Picks of the Week winner. All forms must be turned in by Friday, the day before the game, by closing time. The winner's name will be announced on Sports Vision the following week. So stop by Chick-fil-A on Bradley Park to pick up your form for the Chick-fil-A Picks of the Week.
And welcome back to Sports Vision. It's now time for our Atlanta Falcons report. And our first Atlanta Falcon report is not a successful one. The Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers came into the Georgia Dome and lit it up.
Lit it up. Jameis Winston had a crab boil, DJ. You know, he did the thing. You know, everybody's been talking about his potential, but, I mean, a couple of throws that he made, DJ, were just, you know, dropping it in the bucket. And, I mean, for him throwing the deep ball, he's not looking to check down either. He wants to take the top off. He did a good job. But, again, we get back to the same thing that we talked about doing preseason. The Falcons not scoring touchdowns in the red zones and settling for field goals. You know, 4 times in the red zone and you only come away with 9 points, 12 points. That's not a good thing. And really, that's the reason you lost.
I did see some flashes of some brilliance, if you will, on offense for the Falcons. You know, Tevin Coleman, last year was all Devontae Freeman. And again, you know, Tevin Coleman was supposed to be a part of that offense last year, but he got injured, if you remember. And the rest was history. Devontae Freeman went on to go to the Pro Bowl. But you know what? It's a great 1-2 punch. However, I know that there's some things and some adjustments that gotta be made. But again, the bottom line is we can have all the offense that we want. You know, Mohamed Sanu, he was at it. Again, he had a couple of great catches. We know that Julio is the bank. But the bottom line is the defense. We got to get the defense playing, and we got to have somebody coming after and getting after the quarterback. Unfortunately, we didn't see Freedy. We didn't see the
He played.
Well, he maybe we didn't see him doing pregame warm-ups.
Well, he played. Yeah, he was out there.
Yeah. But Vic Beasley was a no show. I mean, he was there, but we got to find a way to get these guys coming off the edge because otherwise, you know what, it's going to be it's going to be a high-scoring affair.
It's going to be a high-scoring affair, but one thing that I was really impressed with is the 45 and the 59.
The two rookies.
The two rookie linebackers, inside linebackers, they're going to be great. But you got to blitz them, DJ. We just got to blitz guys. We can't get to them with our linemen, and Beasley can't get to him. You know, he's not strong enough, and he hadn't created any moves. So you got to blitz. So my whole thing is that if you don't blitz, you know, your quarterback sit back there. Jameis had plenty of time to throw the ball deep. They got to get better. They got to get better on the defensive side of the ball. You know, making mistakes. Got to get off the field on third down. There's about 3 different situations where they had them stopped, but they had a penalty on the play, and you gave Jameis Winston new life, and they scored again. So it's a lot of stuff. And you know what else I saw in the game too, DJ? It was a lot of penalties, man.
A lot of penalties, a lot of undisciplined plays, and guys should have been off the field, you know, in 3 downs, and then they're out there celebrating and doing little dances and little shuffles, and ended up, you know, they don't get off the field. Yeah. But I do want to say this because it's regarding Jameis Winston, and I know that this is a Falcons report, but I want to let everybody know right now, this young man, and I predict this, he's ready to go to the next level now. You already talk about, you know, we saw the growth and we saw the maturity of Cam Newton. Well, Jameis Winston, I think, with what he did the other night, that's just a tip of the iceberg of what he's going to do this year. And you know what? I think that he's destined to have a great season.
I agree with you on that, DJ. I think really not only is Jameis Winston's going to have a great season, I think Tampa Bay is going to be pretty tough this year, DJ. Their defense played lights out. I mean, they run to the football. They put some licks on Julio, Matt Ryan. They were bringing it. And at the same time, Tampa Bay is known for having a good defense. The Derek McCoy, that piece. The Ayers guy that played at Tennessee, 91, he played out of his mind. So they really got after Matt Ryan. But, DJ, from an offensive coordinator standpoint, they got to open up the Falcons' offense, and we still don't have a vertical game. Nobody, I can't. I didn't see them throw the ball deep, not one time.
Shout out to Dirk Cutter, a former coach for the Falcons, having an opportunity to be on the Tampa Bay staff as an offensive coordinator and came back to the Dome and got the victory. Now, quickly, let's talk a little bit about some of the other intriguing stories in the NFL this past week. I know that the Cleveland Browns had banked on RG3. Well, look like he's not going to be around for 6 to 8 weeks, man, because he, again, not getting down, and he has a fracture in his shoulder.
I mean, he's got to learn how to get down. And, you know, even when he was coming out of college, we said he looked fragile. He was very fragile, and then he got beat up with the Redskins, and he really still has not, recuperated at all. But the game that kind of intrigued me, DJ, was the Jets and the Bengals, where A.J. Green had 11 receptions against, most of the time, Darrelle Revis. And, you know, we think the world of A.J. Green, but at the same time, the catches he made. I mean, the Andy Dalton piece, this guy's growing too, DJ, and for him to have that kind of confidence to throw the ball deep to A.J. Green, that piece was big. But then I was kind of upset about the Rams and the 49ers game, DJ, where 28-0, Todd Gurley didn't even get close to 100 yards. The biggest story for me was the Colin Kaepernick piece, where it seemed like it brought his teammates closer, DJ, and the 49ers are playing very, very well. In the Phil Kelly piece, I think he fits those guys. He fits those guys, but at the same time, the 49ers are playing good football.
Last but not least, the guy we've been talking about all preseason that we're excited about, the old SEC guy out of Mississippi State, Dak Prescott. He played well, although it wasn't well enough to get the victory. It wasn't his fault because, again, a dumb boneheaded mistake. Tried to get the ball to his receiver, Williams, and, of course, with time running out, and unfortunately he didn't get out of bounds. They could have kicked the field goal and had a dramatic win, but I expect some tremendous football from Dak Prescott.
It wasn't because of Dak Prescott. He played a great game, I think, for us, the poise, DJ. He knows how to check down. This stage is not too big for him, and I think that's what happened to a lot of the rookies. But this stage is not too big for Dak Prescott, and I think he's going to continue to get better. And the Cowboys are going to get better, too. But if you don't put the Dez Bryant in the mix, DJ, they're not going to score any points.
As far as our Atlanta Falcons, they have to travel to Oakland and a team that's on the rise. So hopefully the Atlanta Falcons can go out there and knock off the Raiders, and we'll be having a positive report next week as far as our Atlanta Falcons report. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our Crown Royal picks of the week.
For the Crown Royal picks of the week, Falcons against the Raiders. The 49ers would travel to Charlotte to play the Panthers. The Saints against the Giants. The Buccaneers would travel to Phoenix to play the Cardinals. The Cowboys would travel to Landover, Maryland to play the Washington Redskins. The Seahawks would play the Rams. The Ravens would travel to Cleveland Memorial Stadium to play the Browns. And the Packers will play the Vikings. Don't forget to email all your picks to Dale Williams at Sports Vision USA by 12 o'clock on Sunday.
Come into Chester's Barbecue for our world-famous mouth-watering ribs, smoked fresh on our grill daily. Or try one of our barbecue pork plates with fresh sides. Chester's has delicious sandwich combos to choose from that are sure to please. We also serve tempting home-cooked favorites. And don't forget to take home your own bottle of great sauce. Chester's Barbecue, serving the best food at the best price. 3 locations to serve you.
Live in the spotlight with Sports Life Entertainment. Enjoy our 50-passenger luxury party buses or corporate coaches. For more information, contact us at 770-989-1340. And remember, it's all about that sports life.
And welcome back to Sports Visions. It is now time for our On the Wall segment. And again, I love to do this because you are responsible for what we're talking about right now. You email us, you Facebook us, you leave us a text message. This week, with all the great games that have gone on the last couple of weeks in college football, all of the small schools and mid-majors, if you will, playing the top schools down to the wire, of course, the Nickel States of the world and the Appalachian States of the world. What is going on in college football? Well, I'll start by saying this. It's a new day. It's a new game, and I have several reasons of why I think that these teams are playing much better. I'll let you start.
Well, my biggest thing is, we call it parity, but I think one of the biggest things that, the things that are going on with players now, I think when you have kids that go to the Troy States of the world or the Nickel State of the world, DJ, or Western Kentucky, these kids are really just as good as some of these Division I school kids, and I think they get up to play these Division I schools. They got a little attitude, and they get in their feelings. They look here, I should have been at a D1 school. So I think that has a lot. And then when you start talking about playing these subpar schools or these Division II schools, they're playing Division I schools, and they're coming in. They're looking forward to upset these guys because, like you said, they got an attitude. They think they're just as good as those 4-star and those 5-star players. And then I think, DJ, and we've always talked about this, and this is another subject we'll talk about later on, a 5-star and a 4-star. Who's making these guys stars before they really become stars? And those kids that are playing at these small schools, they're just as good as they are, DJ.
Well, right now, I could answer that question. Again, all of these .com services, ESPN, Rivals, and 247, and the likes, they're all the ones that are doing all the rankings and whatnot. But you know what? There's so much talent in Georgia, in Texas, in California. I mean, the football in South Florida. You know what? The schools now, and again, when a kid doesn't have an opportunity, or when he doesn't make the grade to get into the schools, first and foremost, he doesn't pass the NCAA qualifications academically, he has to go to junior college or he has to take another path.
That's right.
Well, this kid might have been a 4-star. He might have been a 3-star. He might have been even a 5-star. But more importantly, I think that, like you said before, the intimidation factor with these kids, most of them play in high school with each other. They're playing against their friends. They're realizing that, you know what, that guy's no better than I, even though I'm at a smaller school. The other part of it is that I think kids are being more wise now. I think the parents are understanding the opportunities to play. You could go to Georgia or Alabama or one of the big schools, Michigan or Texas. You might not travel the first year. Whereas you go to the smaller schools, the Appalachian States of the world, go to Troy or some of the other smaller schools, you might have an opportunity to compete for a starting job in your first or second year. So that's the difference now. Guys are not, or players are not so caught up in the wanting to be at Tennessee, at Alabama. They want to go and play because it's all about the next level, if you understand.
Right.
They want an opportunity to get on the field so they can show what they can do, so they can have an opportunity to play at the next level.
And really, and that's where you get the parity piece from. And then the other piece of that, the Central Floridas of the world, the South Alabamas of the world, DJ, the Troys of the world. All these guys, they played. They played a lot. They raised the money. They got their whoopings. Excuse me. They took their paychecks. But now, those 4 years from now, DJ, they got some of the best players too. They getting good players for all those reasons that you stated. I mean, now they're good enough to play with these guys, and you better be careful, and you better come to play. I don't care if you ranked. I don't care if you're Division I. I don't care if you were a 5-star player, DJ. You better come to play every day.
The moral to the story, mom, dad, kids, coaches, everybody. You know what? If you can play.
Why do we have Aflac?
Aflac.
And Major Medical?
Major Medical boy, yeah! I help pay the doctor. Ain't that enough for you?
There are things Major Medical doesn't do.
Aflac.
Pays cash so we don't have to fret.
Something families should get.
Like a safety net.
Even helps pay deductibles to cover your back with.
Learn about one-day pay at aflac.com/wrap.
Smile is the most admirable thing you can wear. And for anyone age 1 to 101, Cook Dental Care has a smile for you. Dr. Kathy L. Cook offers a wide range of individualized, innovative services from basic preventative dentistry to specialized care. We provide comprehensive dental care for the entire family, including pediatric. Insurance, financing, walk-ins, and new patients are always welcome. So for your family's dental care, visit Cook Dental Care.
And welcome back to today's final segment of Sports Vision. And Dale, I tell you, I'm so proud of Isaiah Crowell. Even though the Cleveland Browns didn't get the victory, Isaiah had a good day. He had 12 carries, 62 yards, scored a touchdown, and he is going to be that featured back. I just pray that he'll stay healthy, and I know that eventually his name will start to come out of the mouths of some of the football aficionados as far as one of the top backs in the National Football League.
And one thing I learned about the NFL and the running back position, DJ, is hard work. And really, 62 yards don't seem to be a lot of yards, but when they're bumping, grind, and hard-nosed yards, you got to have some rushing if you're going to do all that passing. I think Isaiah's got – he's getting better, DJ. He's getting better.
And last but not least, we got another surprise on slate for you. Now we got the magazine. We, of course, celebrating the anniversary, the second-year anniversary of Sports Vision, the magazine. Of course, we've been on the air with you for 12 years with the television show. Sports Vision's Radio, a podcast deal. We're working on that right now, and again, we're going to have some good information out there for some folks who need it.
Yep, and the podcast basically is, it's going to start through the Sports Vision, but at the same time, it's a lot of subjects, there's a lot of things you all have written and want to know about that we really just don't have time to talk about. But when we do this podcast, we're going to go on and on and on. We might need to buy a radio station player.
Very different than television. We have, of course, certain time and limitations with regards to, getting our advertisers on, and we only have 30 minutes to do the show. But on the podcast, we'll be able to elaborate. We'll be able to go there. We'll be able to talk to you directly, take calls. And I tell you what, it's coming soon, and we'll give you more information. Well, that's going to do it for all the time we have for today's show. For Dale Williams, I'm DJ Jones, reminding you to keep your eye on the ball. Have a great week.
Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you.